Oh, it's always taken, dude. Oh, how you doing? Good to see you. It's always nice taken, dude. See? He yells at me for putting stuff on top of the podium, and then he doesn't clean up my bottom part. Can I start now, guys? Nice, there it is. Thumbs up from the camera, guys. So, Curtis, hey, Allison, nice hat. Everybody reported, so we can get that out the way. We got our hands on deck. We have one guy that'll be on PUP here, Robert Burns. Pre-existing injury that we knew about from the spring. Some of the stuff that he had with the conditioning test yesterday. So we'll go precaution and do that here shortly. Other than that, I am just jacked up to see you guys and excited. Not happy to see you guys, but it is what it is. And let's get ready to go. Let's start this thing.
Wait, you say not happy to see us?
Nah, I can't stand you guys, man.
We ain't do nothing to you.
Oh, will you stop it?
Yeah.
Led, you've been harassing me the whole time. That's a nice haircut you got, Led. I haven't seen you with a haircut in a long time, man. You had a good summer, man. What's up, Jared?
Hey, man. How you doing, Coach? Well, everybody reported. Is everybody medically cleared?
Yes, we are out, ready to go. I mean, obviously, we'll do some sort of our own modifications. You know, some of the things that we did with Kurt in the spring, as you guys know. But he's ready to go. We'll do some modifications, obviously, with Grady. I'm trying to think who else has a little bit of injuries that we'll modify some things. But they are medically cleared, ready to go. You should be able to see him in practice, be excited about our team and what we got going on.
Jace McClellan was the other one that.
Jace is full go. He's out there. He's back. He's healthy. He had the things that he had going on, but he's be out there ready to go, cleared, did his conditioning tests, ready to practice.
So, what's the ramp up look like for him?
So we're going to have, and to speak big picture for it all, so you guys know, what we'll do today is we're kind of starting it off slow. So we'll kind of start this thing kind of how we ended it. We'll start this thing with acclimation day number 2, which we'll start off with a jog through, and we'll get those guys out and really stress them mentally. Get the guys out there, get some mental reps going, get the mental stuff going for all of those guys in order for us to get into a low practice tomorrow with acclimation day 3, and then we'll ramp it up a little bit tomorrow night when we get to, obviously, second year to get in front of the fans for the first time, which that'll be exciting to get those guys down there. I believe it's Saturday night. The days just run when you get to camp, but Saturday night to get those guys to a medium practice down that way, so that thing will ramp up for those guys. You know, obviously when you're talking about a guy like Grady, you're talking about age, and you're also talking about coming off an injury. You want to protect him a little bit extra. No different than you would do with Jake Matthews, no different than we've done in our past, whether we've been in LA, whether you've been in Tampa, wherever I've been, with some of the guys that are a little bit older, with some of the modified reps. But I don't think you'll notice from the naked eye, looking how he's practicing, what he's doing, on how we're going to go about our business with Grady.
With Kirk, any limitations? Because I know in OTAs there was no contact, and now there will be.
Yeah, it was no limitations. I think the precaution of Kurt, I think it was pretty much helpful from how we go about business of not keeping people away from him. And now there'll be people to be around him, and you feel comfortable with that and moving forward and doing some of those things. You know, obviously some of his limitations are coming out individual drill and some of our movement, making sure we don't wear him out to the point that we want to get all the team reps with him. So he's fired up. The team's fired up. The limitations for him, you won't notice either. That'll just be our own modification that we do, just being smart.
Do you think you'll play in preseason or too early to tell?
You know, we're in block 1 right now. You know, so it's like, hey, block 1, now speaking these blocks, right, we're talking about today, right, being our acclimation day 2, being a jog through period, getting right into 2 practices to another jog through, then we get to block 2. And then once we get to block 2, we'll have a low practice, medium practice, jog through, high impact practice, day off. So, like, I want to get to block 1 first to make some of those decisions, you know. Don't want to make something from 3 weeks from now that we don't have to make now. So we'll see, and what we need and how we need it. You know, really excited for the most part about getting to our joint practice with Miami. You know, that you look forward to some of those things and how you're going to get into it as opposed to thinking about some of the preseason stuff.
Bro, how much does that equate to installation, both offensively and defensively, as far as you ramping up and as well as being able to evaluate players but still install them?
So for us, what we want to do is really ramp it up mentally. Right, hence the jog through, right? So when you go jog through, you take a little bit off the physicality of everything that you're doing. You want to ramp it up from a mental standpoint, right? So the install 1 may be a little bit heavier than the one you got back in the day, right? We ramped that thing up to the install, so it's a lot of the stuff that we did in the spring, a lot of stuff that we did, you know, kind of a master's class, so to speak, that you're able to get into a little bit when you get to the spring. We're able to get that thing today, especially when you're going a bit slower, right? You get the immediate feedback. You get the boards out there you can look at. We can talk to those guys in a slower fashion. We'll be able to split the fields up, maximize the reps, it's a real exciting time when you talk about some of those things. Everybody has a different approach. This is just the approach that we decided to take this year.
What will be the plan for Penix in terms of reps during camp?
You know, it won't be much different than what you're accustomed to, right? You know, obviously Kurt took our first team reps. You know, Penix and Heineke definitely split out second reps. And then Paddock was able to get what he can get. And we get to those moments and we get a chance to get Paddock some of those things. And usually those split days when we get a chance to get to the other field to be able to get those guys those reps, to get those guys ready. Our walkthroughs and jog-throughs are very important for those guys. But it'll be exciting. It won't be much different than what you've accustomed seeing from the spring and what we did in OTAs.
How is training camp different for you this time around compared to when you were head coach for Tampa Bay? Just what has changed and maybe just your philosophy?
Allison, I don't take any of this for granted. You know, I like to always reset myself and start over. I enjoy this time of year probably more than most. It's something about the evaluation period of looking at guys, the teaching and the learning. That comes with football, the requirements of us coming to work and going out here and being able to get some things together. Our guys living on campus, kind of getting that college feel a little bit. That's always a fun mood. It's always good to make the meetings a little bit light and then maybe to jump into a serious mode with these guys. But football is fun. It's a great reminder for us that it is what it is. And you can feel the excitement in the room, how many people are here, how hot it is in this room right now. It is absolutely outstanding that we get a chance to be together and be a part of this. And like, I just get fired up about all of that stuff. Like I feel like whatever I was, 24 or 32 in Tampa as a head coach, but the 24-year-old Raheem Morris that was able to go in 2002, go to his first training camp, it doesn't feel much different. It feels a little exciting, but I do have more thought process behind it on how you practice, you know, actually being a part of the performance team and how we want to move forward. But it's still fun. It's still football. It's still what we love.
Coach, training camp has barely gotten started across the league, and we've already noticed some skirmishes, some video, and it's the NFL. We know that happens. That's not even news. But how do you manage the emotions that are inevitably going to come?
That's a good one. You know, we are not I'm never going to, like, waste reps in practice with fighting. You know, you try to mitigate that and limit that as much as you can. Obviously, there'll be some hotheads out there, you know, well-known hothead. But there'll obviously be some hotheads out there that you got to be able to talk to, but it's more about controlling the messaging in the room and what you're trying to get done, right? And really what we're trying to get done and accomplish in this first block will be speed and competition. Those are the things that we'll be adding to what we did not have in the spring, right? The competitive edge of breaking up a pass, the competitive edge of beating that guy in the edge in the pass rush, and some of those type of things will be added. The speed will come, and then eventually the physicality will come. And when the physicality to come, I think if you address those things up front with your team, you're able to talk to those guys and let them know what you expect and what it's going to look like, I think nobody's caught off guard. Most of the time when the skirmishes come is when somebody steps out of bounds and gets over the line. And that's when people don't like it. If I come at Dukes the wrong way, he's not going to like it. And he's probably going to jump up with type of skirmish, and it is what it is. But we can eliminate some of those things with how we talk, how we move accordingly through our business, how we work together. And I think that's some of the important stuff that we want to get accomplished right now.
Coach, you talked about ramping up the ramp-up process for Grady Jarrett. Do you think that'll benefit guys like Ruka Rororo and Brandon Dorless? Did that benefit them? You know?
I think so. I think that benefits all of us and how we go about our stuff. You know, when you don't want to necessarily talk about just one guy when you're talking about Rook or you're talking about Brandon. I mean, we got some real interesting dudes like Zach. We got TQ. We got a bunch of guys that is going to benefit being able to get out there. And just being around a guy like Grady already benefits those guys. Hey, David, get out there and tell those guys to be quiet in the hallway if I get upset. I like bossing around David, guys. It's fun. Oh, man, Dave, we had a meeting last night, man. David showed up late, guys. I can tell you this, guys. And he walked in, man. He was all in flustered, man. He came down, man. He got his stuff in. He did the best job I've ever seen in my life, man. It was unbelievable.
You got a newborn.
He got a newborn. Got to take it easy on him. I kicked him on the hallway for a second, and I lost him.
You have made a couple of references. Sorry, when you were talking about mantra earlier, what is the mantra for the Falcons this season?
You know, I like the team to form that. I really do. You know, I remember throughout my time coaching football, I was lucky and as fortunate I've been able to do. The best mantras have always come from the team. It's come from some significant moment that has happened, whether it be training camp, whether it's something that happened during the season. I don't like to build that. I don't like it to be false enthusiasm, something that I thought of during the summer that's not really related to what the guys are about. You know, I like it to be built from within. I like it to be built from within the team structure. I like it to be built from what we want to come. I like it to be built from what we show on video, from what we show on tape. And I think these guys will show you what the team mantra will be.
were talking to Jesse yesterday, and he was talking about having this one-on-one time with him and Kurt, just the two of those guys. And I know, Rob, when you came in here, you talked about this idea of collaboration, and that was something you spoke about in your introductory press conference. When you see that happening, kind of these two guys on either side of the ball taking that initiative to have those conversations with each other, how does that make you feel about what has been established here already?
When you're talking about Jesse Bates and you're talking about Kirk Cousins, you're talking about high-level ball. And anytime you get a chance to be a fly on the wall and be around those guys and how they talk and how they move, that is always interesting. And it is exactly what you want. You want this player-led environment, this player-friendly, this family environment. You want to be able to cultivate those things. And just the presence and just the stuff that we've already done, with you even saying that, that lets you know what's happening. And when those things start to happen, it gets even better. It becomes, somebody turned the air on. You guys feel that? It's amazing, but it becomes even better. I did, it felt it. It becomes even better. And it's just an awesome feeling, Tori. And like, I love that you say that. I love that you saw it. I love that you heard it. And I love that Jesse recognizes it to everybody else that he's talking to.
Coach, with Kirk getting cleared and still working his way back, what kind of plan would there be in place for Michael or Taylor to get some reps with the ones throughout camp?
It's going to be the same. Don't try to give me the serious face to get the same answer that I'm going to give you. You give me the serious face, I'm going to give you the serious face back. Hey, man, we're going to go with the ones with Kurt, and then Michael Penix and Taylor are going to, they're going to split those twos. I'll give you Mike Tomlin voice, too. They're going to split those twos. And it is what it is. The standard is the standard.
Rob, with the versatility that your front seven is going to be able to play with this year and the different multiplicities of abilities of guys, how do you balance the young players that are obviously going to play a major role for you? How do you balance them being dialed in and playing on day one, and then all the creativity you and Jimmy want to come with defensively?
I think Jimmy will do a great job of creating what we call role clarity, right? I think sometime when you're adding defenses and you're adding a bunch of different things that may look complex to the outside eye, they get really simplified inside if you got great role clarity going into that game or going into that practice or going into that meeting or whatever the case may be. When you define those roles and you define those things that people can do and you find out what people can do as opposed to what they can't, and you really maximize those efforts, it can make some really simple things look more complex than they actually are. And I got a lot of faith from doing that because of all the rookies and some of the blessed people that I've been able to work with throughout my career, and be able to get some of that stuff accomplished. And I look forward to Jimmy and the whole staff, Jerry Gray and some of those guys really bringing the best out of some of those guys on defense, how we're going to have some movable pieces and some movable parts in order to be able to do those things. We just mentioned a guy like Zach that has inside flex and outside flex and some of the things that really makes you excited about him as a player, and no different than some of the guys on the back end. When you're talking about like an Alfred that can flex inside and flex outside, flex back to safety. Man, those things are all really exciting, and those are the things that really just fire you up about our team and some of the people that we put together. And somebody's getting fired again. Who is that? That's you, Taryn?
No, it's not me.
Where's Taryn?
I'm a regular for it.
Yes, Jared. Jared raised his hand. Look at you, professional.
Old school.
Old school.
Yeah, which sets up this question.
Yes.
You think about when you first came to the NFL and how training camps were and how they were structured. And
We
what's,
just talk about it.
yeah, what's happened over the years with the CBA and how you ramp up. How challenging is it for you as a coach to get your teams ready with the training camp flow as it is now?
Jared, don't take the old school approach of we're being held back. All right, Jared. So you gotta think about this, right? The rules are the same for all of us. The NFL did such a great job of making it so they've kind of squared it away where you can be. And then it's up to coaches to kind of play with that acclimation period on how they want to do it. We did it a little bit different at the Rams. We did it a little bit different in Atlanta. They're going to do it a little bit different in other places and how you want to get into what you want to get into this groove of the acclimation period. So as long as all the rules are fair and everything is just, I think we've gotten smarter. We've grown as a community. We want to know what it feels like to go out there and get these guys ready to play. And I think we're at a nice place of getting guys into the season that we can all enjoy and we can all love and go out there and really have fun with what we got going on. I love it.
When players reported yesterday, did you have like an interaction with anybody that stood out to you that really made you excited about?
I purposely tried to stay away a little bit yesterday. You know, we got this beautiful things in our building that are done. It's not always completed. As you guys know, or we could have our fans out here and can't wait to get those guys from the Hill. But like, we got some real interesting things in there. You guys will see soon when you get a chance to go to open locker room and some of those things. But like the locker room and some of the places that the players were able to go, I wanted those guys to have those authentic reactions with each other. I want those guys to be able to come in and see their brand new barbershop. I got a haircut yesterday. I want those guys to be able to come in and see, their brand new weight room and get around their coaches. Some of the plugs aren't working, but it is what it is, right? But like the guys' excitement, I want to have some of them genuine, authentic reactions with those guys. And then also to be able to give guys credit like Spence, right? Brandon Roof, who's got boots in the ground, and C. Murder. I don't know if I can call him that on the press conference, but it is what it is, man. All those guys, Daniel, and some of those guys that really helped us work through some of the issues and still helping us work through the issues right now. And I have to say thank you to Arthur Blank for allowing us to be able to put these things in place for us to build those things for those guys to get here and see that, and when they come back. And obviously our president, Greg Beadle, and some of the stuff that they've done. But I'm excited. The players were excited. Purpose tried to stay away a little bit yesterday. I want those guys to come back and get that genuine summer fun out and what they did. And, maybe they wrote each other a paper or something like we did in school back in the day. But it was awesome.
You talked about Grady kind of being the heart of this team. What is he going to add just being back on the practice field, especially at the start of training camp and going through the, what he called a humbling process and his recovery?
Makes me feel better. When you see Grady, Grady lights up everything that he does, whether it's the meeting room, whether it's practice, whether it's the game day situation, everything in life, whether it's a community event. Grady is Atlanta. He embodies everything that we're about. He defines our ethos. He's what I want you guys to write about when you write about an Atlanta Falcon player. And we got a couple guys and examples like that, and he's been certainly a part of grooming and maturing the people around here in that way, in that form, in that fashion.
With no fans out there today, or here's this whole training camp, you guys have something in place to kind of replace that atmosphere, energy they could bring? Because, during one-on-one, stuff like that, I feel like fans out there kind of help bring something out of the players that might not be there.
So, as an athlete, you tend to try to block all that out. But, yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. But you do want to generate that. So, that's why, hence, we want to get out to see our fans in second year. We'll have another practice at MBS that we get a chance to go down and kind of create that environment. But a lot of times, you're required to bring your own juice when you're in a away game. And right now we're playing a couple of away games at home, and we'll provide our own juice, and I'm sure we'll be able to do that. But it is nice when you get the fans out. It is nice when you get a chance to media to come out and for you guys to watch, make you put the cameras away. These guys get all sad in the back. But other than that, man, it is like it's a lot of fun when you get a chance to do that. Like when you get a chance to bring, the associates in from MBS or the associates in from Mountain Sky Guest Ranch or whatever Arthur's venues, and some of our guests that are coming to things of that nature. But we got a couple of away games that we got to deal with, and it's going to be a lot of fun. See you at second year, see a little bit of energy.
What was this morning like for you in terms of knowing it was the first day of camp? Was it a little special or exciting, particularly?
I don't know, Ken. I feel like I answered that a little bit. I'm always excited. I think you know that about me a little bit. I got up early because I wanted to get a workout in before our 6:45. Led, what is wrong with you, man? You playing a video game? Really? But it really is exciting. I think what happens, see, like the summer break ends, right? And whatever that date is for you, where it kind of clicks that you're about to go back to work, right? It always happens to all of us as coaches. I don't know what date that is. I don't have a particular date, but you immediately go from being able to sleep in to waking up at your normal 4 o'clock hour and thinking about football, whatever that is, right? And for me, it's always that wake up at 4:30 without the alarm and be able to do what I need to do to transition into what my day is going to entail that's the fun part for me, because like you got this natural thing in your body, which probably tells you should probably still be coaching.
What was your natural reaction when you just saw the new locker room and the facilities and all that stuff as a coach?
And it's funny, Allison, because we work in so much excellence around here. I was not shocked at all, but because I heard about it and I knew about it, I thought, yeah, that's kind of what I thought Arthur and Spence and Greg Beadles and Rich McKay and all the guys that I've been around. We do stuff, we do it huge, right? I mean, think about when the stadium opened, just when we built the new your room over here, right? The production room that these guys go in, the studio, whatever you call that thing, right? I came back, I was impressed. Like, man, what happened to the little room I used to do this thing with a green screen, right? And then to see the weight room and all those things and see it happening live in front of us, it was a part of the joy that we know that we come to expect, and you don't take it for granted. But I was like, what a shocker. We did it again. We provided a bunch of excellence for us.
Coach, as a huge fan myself, I have to ask, where are we going to see some improvements in pass rush?
Where are we going to see some improvements in pass rush? I think you got to talk in the overall scheme of things. I think we got to get quarterbacks uncomfortable. And if we can find ways to get those guys uncomfortable with whether it be secondary pressure guys, linebackers or secondary guys, or whether it just be upfront pass rush, or whether it be design, whether it be scheme, whether it be chicanery and tabackery, whatever it is, you want to affect that quarterback. That was an old school term. You want to affect the quarterback. I got that from Joe Gardy in like 1997. Shout out to Joe Gardy. Rest in peace.
Some people weren't even born yet.
No. That's it, guys.
As a follow-up to your comments already about changes you've seen in training camp, more changes could come if there's an 18-game schedule. There's talk about two preseason games.
Sure.
As a coach, how do you feel that would affect your preseason preparations?
You know, what's funny is like always the natural reaction. It's like, no, don't change. And then we've done all these changes over the years, and it has been awesome. Like what I've gained has done, the amount of the revenue, the fan appreciation, everything that is done. It has been outstanding. So it's hard for me being able to go through all the changes that we've been from a 4-game preseason to a 3-game to a 14 games? I mean, you were around 12-game season right there, Jared. 12-game season to a 14 to a 16. For me, it's like bring it on. Like you just whatever. That's all above me, right? That's a blank question. He'll be here shortly, but like it's just exciting when you just think about what could happen and where we're going. You know, maybe I'll be reporting with you guys when all that stuff happens, but who knows? I'll be sitting next to you.
What extra work have you had to do with this new kickoff rule and how it's going to be implemented and what that might do to who's playing on those special teams for you?
That is the big unknown, right? And we all are going to be searching for those things. And I think that, you know, hence everybody's going to move that period up. You know, the old school guys, we all started with punt, right? I bet there's a bunch of guys starting with kickoff and kickoff return in the beginning of this training camp to make sure we get more reps and more turns at it. I believe I heard somebody just recently say it's probably going to be ramped up about 25% of whatever you did the year before. You know, we went from touchbacks to the ball being in play. I got my own in-house expert upstairs in Rich McKay, and I'm sure he'll have his ideas. You guys know Rich; he'll have a whole bunch of hand movement involved. And I'm not sure if he's going to give me anything, but it's certainly going to be exciting when I get a chance to sit down and listen to him and talk with him and Marquise and what these guys have been able to do and the excitement part of. It was even exciting in the offseason, right? We've had officials at our practice to be able to look at these things, put it on tape. We'll be able to review the stuff in some of the preseason games to get a feel for some of those things and what people are going to do and how they're going to go about their business and what people, the body types, it may affect your rosters, so to speak, and who you keep and how many people you keep at each position. I think all those things are going to be a factor when you're talking about all those things. So it's exciting. Another thing that's new, right? That's just you can't knock it till you try it. We've argued it in the rooms. We've come out, it got cleared, it's passed, and here we go. Now it's time to line up and go.
When you're trying to figure out the best, how you think each individual team is going to run the ball the best, what is that process like and how long does it take?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
When you're trying to determine, you know, what's our most effective run game going to look like?
Yes.
In Los Angeles, y'all have kind of gone back and forth. These
Yeah.
guys have generally been wide zone.
We got a football savant back here.
When you look at, no, that's why I'm when you look at all the factors you have on this team,
Sure.
what does that process look like?
So we've had, without giving away anything, just like, you know, crazy, you know, we've had like a lot of success running the outside zone. You know, we obviously got a lot of history with Wayne Ledford and a lot of the same returning offensive linemen that they've done a really good job and some of the stuff that they've done. And obviously that was a part of our system, whether you're in LA, whether we're in DC, whatever the case may be, right? Whether it be outside zone, whether it be mid zone, but you always still got to be able to sprinkle in some of your other runs, whether it be gap schemes, some of your downhill runs, inside zone, some of those things. But like, you're always going to have a bread and butter, right? That's going to be what you rely on. And then you got to have your change-ups. And I think we always got to be open-minded to our change-ups. And they always got to evolve because you got to stay ahead of people because these people in this league are very smart. They do a great job of scheming you up. They do a great job of taking your strengths away. So you got to have your change up to keep people honest, to keep people in place. And that's what we'll do, right? So when you sit down in those rooms and you're able to put all these beautiful minds upstairs together, come out that room with a plan that we're going to have to be able to execute our run game every single week. And at the end of the day, sometimes you design a great play and 7 just makes it happen. Go to work. It's about time you protect me, David.
Do you still feel like wide zone is your bread and butter with this group right now?
You know, we're going to run some wide zone. You know, we're going to run some mid zone. We're going to run some gap scheme. We'll have a plethora of all of it in there, but we're going to have a bread and butter, and our identity will come out, and hopefully some of those questions, what my mantra is going to come out, will come about. Like, you know, if I lead up the lead, it's going to be run the damn ball is the mantra. So we'll go to work.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.